Grammarly, don't shoot the messenger here, but we've got a little bit of a disappointing update on Aaron Donald's potential return. It might be a little later than we were all hoping for. We're going to break it down here on the Rams Report presented by PrizePicks. As always, guys, sign up for PrizePicks today, and when you use code HMA and win your first $5 lineup, you're going to get $150 in bonus lineups. But like I was saying, on today's show, we've got to discuss a brand new update coming in around the Aaron Donald situation. It feels like we're getting new ones pretty much every single day, but this one comes from Adam Schefter, the king of all NFL insiders. So whenever he speaks, we perk our ears up a little bit and we listen here. It says Aaron Donald is essentially trying to get himself ready for the upcoming season. I don't think, and it doesn't sound like we're going to get an immediate answer or an immediate signing of Aaron Donald. He's too busy trying to get himself back into football shape, trying to regain some of the form that he might have lost in 2 years away, and he's not going to come back until he feels like he's ready to be Aaron Donald. If it takes all summer long for him to get into football shape, you may not hear about an Aaron Donald deal until later this summer. At this point, it sounds like it would be a surprise to see an Aaron Donald deal sooner. Okay, so this report comes in from Schefter, and I've immediately seen a lot of panic amongst Rams fans because of this. But I want to say right away, this is not the end of the world by any means. When you listen to this quote in full, and not the aggregator descriptions where they cut it down to just, we're not expecting an Aaron Donald signing immediately, basically just making it seem like Aaron Donald isn't coming back at all. But you listen to the full quote. You listen to everything Adam Schefter has to say. Nothing here says he isn't coming whatsoever. In fact, everything here indicates he's still very much in the thought process of coming back, trying to get his body ready, trying to get his body to match where his mind is. You know what I mean? Like, mentally, it feels like he wants to do this, but now he's just got to find out, like, can my body sustain? Can my body hold up? Can I be the Aaron Donald I want to be? But the fact that you're even testing that tells me mentally there is a want to here. Nothing about this quote says Aaron Donald isn't coming back to the Rams this season. It just says he isn't coming back right now, which, again, we'll get into it. I'm not that surprised by that, guys. But I think it brings up a couple new questions for us right now. When does later this summer actually mean? I think that's question numero uno for Rams fans at this point. That is the number one most burning thing for every Rams fan right now. What does this mean? What does this timeline actually look like? We're being given kind of vague timelines over and over again, but I'm going to put some real dates on it for you guys in a minute. We're going to try to pin down when exactly later this summer actually means. But before we do that, I've got to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, guys. It's our presenting sponsor here at Chat Sports, America's #1 sports picks app, PrizePicks. Guys, today's show is made possible by PrizePicks, and it is time to cash in. They're America's #1 sports picks app and the best place to win cash while you're watching sports. The app is super easy to use. All you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. And with the social feeds feature, you can share your PrizePicks lineups with your friends. You can copy lineups with a single click. You can also drop a follow on not just your buddies, but also your favorite creators, celebrities, including myself. Not that I'm a celebrity, but one of your favorite creators, maybe. My username is Jackson Durham on the app, and you guys can drop a follow and see all of my latest picks, including this NFL season-long one that I've got going. We've got Darnold on there, Stafford's on there, Garrett's on there. We're going with the mores on everybody. You guys know what I always say. Life is too short to ever take the less. So you guys can tell me, you can fade me, whatever you do, just do it with our friends at PrizePicks, which is available in most states, including California, Florida, and Texas. Join millions of users and sign up for America's #1 sports picks app. And our brand new user offer is a new offer. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win that first $5 lineup, guys. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. That's right, PrizePicks just switched up their offer, so there's no better time to join. Lock in and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win that first $5 lineup. But like I said, it's time to put some dates on things, my friends. Thank you to PrizePicks as always. But let's take a look at some key upcoming dates. July 29th is the one that is right around the corner. If you're watching this video at the time of upload, it is July 22nd. We are just a week out from the full-on start of Rams training camp. Veterans and rookies will be fully reported by July 29th. You'll fast forward a couple weeks later, and you get to August 15th, which is our next big date. And again, there is a possibility of a Donald return within that window, but I would consider it strongly unlikely. But that August 15th date is the first preseason game. We're on the road in Kansas City. August 27th is the final preseason game against the Los Angeles Chargers. That one's technically an away game, but of course we play at the same stadium. So that is at our place as well. August 27th and August 15th, that's the window right there. Between those two dates, I believe you will see Aaron Donald return. It will be well before September 10th, the season opener versus the Niners in Melbourne, Australia, which is our next key upcoming date. I do believe if Aaron Donald is coming back, which I've always told you guys it's very likely that he will, I've always said this as well. It's likely that when he does come back, it's going to be after or in the very late portion of training camp. And we'll get into why in a second, but I'm not the only one telling you guys this. Ian Rappaport, and we covered this report when it came out just a couple of days ago, he said a real possibility is probably a pretty good way to describe it. My understanding is Aaron Donald himself does not really know right now whether this is going to happen if he does show up, it would probably even be to the end of training camp or maybe even into the season because he's not going to be playing 50 or 60 plays on defense. He'd be more of a spot guy. But yes, Aaron Donald does seem to be exploring this possibility. So a lot of, we'll say yap from Ian Rappaport there. But the core of it is Aaron Donald could be returning to late in training camp or into the season. Everything we've heard has for a long time pointed towards that window. So Adam Schefter saying it again. I know there was a lot of excitement about the Thursday date, but I'm telling you guys, it's a uniform reveal. That is what the Rams are doing on Thursday at the special announcement. I wish as much as you guys did that he was going to be there in one of those new alternate uniforms, but I don't think that's going to happen. That's not the world that we live in. Unfortunately, it'd be really cool. It'd be a great movie. But we live in the real world where we're trying to make this happen. And he's a 35-year-old guy who's still trying to figure out where his body's at. As cool as it would be for him to jump out on stage in the white and navy fearsome foursome uniform and announce his return, that's just not the way that this is going to play out. I would not get your hopes up about a huge announcement coming this week. But two more questions we've got to answer. Does Donald need a new deal? This one and the next one are highly connected questions. And they've been questions that the answer to has not really been entirely clear over the last couple of months, even to myself. At times, this has been confusing for me. And the reason it's confusing is because the NFL has weird rules about what happens with your contract when you retire. Generally, it pauses, but there are things that teams can do in order to essentially close the book on a contract, even if a guy has retired. And there was an impression for a lot of Rams fans, myself included, that the Rams had done so with Aaron Donald's deal via a $13 million goodbye bonus payment they made a couple months after his retirement. However, one of our friend of the show, friend of the channel, Blaine Grisick, asked Jason of Over the Cap, excuse me, I'm totally blank there. Asked Jason of Over the Cap recently if that was true or not, as many Rams fans had believed that that was the case, that Aaron Donald's deal was closed. But Jason from Over the Cap, who is privy to these kinds of things, said his contract is still ticking. He still has $30 million remaining, and he even added, my guess is he would look for more. Which brings us to the next question that we have to discuss. Will Aaron Donald actually play on a $30 million deal? It's a bit of a head scratcher at this point. It's a difficult question to answer, to be completely honest with you. I don't really think so. I'd have to believe, for a couple of reasons, that this deal probably gets restructured before Aaron Donald played. If he was to play on a $30 million contract, that would make him one of the highest paid edge rushers in the entire NFL. It would have him up there with some of the highest paid guys in the entire league. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Aaron Donald or who he could potentially be at 35 years old. But I do think the reality is it's unlikely that he is going to come back and give you even the kind of production you saw in 2023 because primarily he's going to be a spot guy. I think his usage rate will be significantly lower than what we saw in 2023, where he was playing the vast majority of snaps. And even that season, we did see him start to tick down in his, not production necessarily. I mean, the sack numbers were down that year. Pressure rate was still incredible. But we did see him start to tick down in his snap counts. He was playing a little bit more situationally. That will be even more so the case this season. I do feel that Aaron will restructure the deal primarily because he also understands where the Rams are at from a cap perspective. They just can't afford to add a $30 million contract right now. And if he wants to come back, he's going to do it in a way that helps this team. We got one more thing to discuss on today's show, but before we get into it, I've got to give a shout out to America's #1 way to get tickets, my favorite way to get tickets, SeatGeek, guys. I love going to live events, but I hate spending an arm and a leg. SeatGeek has totally changed my ticket buying experience, guys. Whether I am looking for Rams tickets or concert tickets with my fiance, I know they're going to have me covered because every ticket on SeatGeek is ranked on a scale from 1 to 10. Like I said, they've got all the options you could ever want to choose from. Rams tickets are on there, but I love the way they present these ticket options to you. Every deal rated on a scale of 1 to 10. Like I said, they've also got green and red dots, so you know from the color coding which deals are good and which deals are bad. And you can also take a look at their seat views. Every seat in the stadium has a custom seat view, so you know exactly what it's going to look like before you get in there. And of course, speaking of getting in there, I've got a code for you guys to save some money on your way to doing so. You can use code CHAT10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code CHAT10. Even if it's not your first time on SeatGeek, make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. Okay, guys, we got to close out today's video with something when I saw this last night, I knew I had to talk about it again, but I really, this is the kind of stuff that kills me, guys. It really, truly does. But another photo has emerged in Puka Nacua's ongoing off-the-field situation. And it's not good. I will say this is the exact same photo that came out in the first place when the situation broke to begin with. What's new about it is it has been zoomed out and it has been recolorized. The original photo that we got was in black and white. I'm not really sure why that was the case, and it was very, very zoomed in. It was honestly hard to tell where on her body she had actually been bit in the first photo. This makes it very clear it's on the back of her shoulder. Appears to be a tank top strap or potentially bra strap next to the bite mark, so you can pretty clearly tell that's like right next to the back of her shoulder. And it is bad. It is a bad look. That is a deep, deep bite mark from Puka Nacua. But I do think it's important to continue to note as the situation progresses, it is still a civil case. This is still at this time a civil case. Puka Nacua is not currently facing criminal charges, and according to LA attorneys and LA district office, that's the word I'm looking for, that is not the plan here. The plan is to resolve this civilly. There is no plan to press criminal charges against Puka Nacua. I do think as this continues to capture public attention, and I wouldn't say undeservedly so, that it is probably time to start considering the possibility of potential discipline for Nakua if this continues to be something that captures international attention. Essentially, the league will start to look into it more. It will start to enter that territory of conduct detrimental to the league. When you have a star like this acting out in public like this, the league can very much make that kind of a case. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it is starting to get on the radar. Even if this remains a civil case, I've said this before when we've discussed Alaric Jackson stuff, the NFL does not require a conviction. The NFL does not require a criminal case to enact their own punishment. They have their own justice system. They make their own decisions. We will monitor this situation as all new updates come out. Again, I told you guys right off the top, this is not my favorite thing to talk about. I don't think it's anybody's favorite thing to hear about, but this is an incredibly important player on our team. This is a real deal situation, and we are going to keep you guys in the loop as we keep you in the loop around all Rams news. So make sure you stay subscribed.